Afternoon, boys, or good morning if you're on the East Coast. We've got 12 in here already. That is crazy. Are these people waiting at the front door for us, like ready to listen?
That's really bad of us, actually.
Hey?
Yeah,
I
feel bad.
Where's Burjat? Where's Burjat?
Yeah.
Get him on.
Well, guys, usually I would absorb the blame for being late, but I'm just going to fully blame Burge because it's just...
it's all on me.
It's just a regular thing each week. Chaps, how's everything been going? What have you been up to?
For me, you go for it, Burge, because I reckon your life is more interesting than mine.
No, you go first. You go first.
Yeah, no. Okay, no, I was just going to say everything's great, actually. Just doing quite a bit of bits and pieces. It's always a bit less work in the summer, which is quite nice with training and coaching. But I've got the kids are around, of course, from uni, and my daughter, she's back. She's still doing her third year to go, but she's back, and she hasn't managed to get a job. But she has a really clever way of always getting money out of me. So she said, she just sends me little texts like, "I've got some singing lessons, and it's all got to be paid up front." Gosh, isn't that a pain, Dad? And I'm going, well. So you want me to pay, right? It's just not subtle, but this is what happens. That's why I'm just working out: do I pay my children or do I buy NFTs?
I was going to suggest paying for the lessons in NFTs. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma here: children or NFTs. That's what's happening for me.
No, that's awesome. Well, this week, obviously, I've been a little bit off the radar. We didn't actually have our live stream on Wednesday, and it was for a very good reason because
Jaden, why was it? Why didn't we have that? Why
were we meeting on the Friday?
I'm really interested to know. I don't know what you've done this week.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. We actually spoke off air about what we were going to talk about during the intro, and obviously we planned the call or whatever, and I suggested to Simon that he tee me up for what I've been up to this week. But it surprises a lot of people, especially in America, that I play cricket, and I had played cricket to a very high standard. But I got selected recently for England over 40s, which was the most amazing experience. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week, we played against Ireland, Scotland, and Wales in like a triple crown competition. Which was the most amazing experience because the standard of cricket is amazing. It's all live streamed. The matches are commentated. You're wearing the England kit. You're doing the national anthem. Amazing. I think in America, the national anthem is just like a usual thing that they do everywhere. Whereas in the UK, it's basically only for the national teams. Like, you know, if you go to a recreational sports game, whether it's, I don't know, anywhere in the UK, they don't play the national anthem. So it was a pretty cool thing. Had the lump in the throat while I was singing the national anthem. I realized I don't actually know the words properly.
Yeah.
Because you know when you
as me.
You know when you're watching the football and or the soccer World Cup and everyone's drunk and drinking and you're belting out the anthem and no one can hear you because everyone's belting it out, so you're fine. But when it's just your team there and you got all the other teams watching you while your anthem's playing, and you're like, it feels like you're singing in front of people.
I know.
But honestly, the most amazing experience. I played really well as well, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, did you get in the? Was it? I didn't hear about the second and third matches, but the first match you were top scorer.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
how much did you get? How many runs?
77. So
that's good.
It is really good. Yeah, I was 77. I got run out, which is like for our American friends, it's like the worst way that you can get out, getting run out, because they haven't actually got you out. It's just like it's a bit like being off base, and they've just like it's a bit like getting on base and then getting off, and then the catcher or the outfielder tapping you and you're out or whatever. But honestly, the most amazing experience. But I have missed you guys. Simon, I've missed looking into your eyes. Same with you, Burge.
It's my youth.
Yeah,
it's difficult to resist.
But yeah, I mean, look, obviously, great to jump on the live streams again, guys. For the 45 of you that dived in here, just do me a massive favor. I mean, we're 5 minutes in and there's 46 people in here already, which usually bodes quite well for the end of the live stream. So no pressure, guys. But do me a massive favor, on whatever platform you're viewing it on, please just give it a reshare, because it does help the viewership, and it does and obviously the more views we get, the better the guests we can get on and all those sorts of things. But guys, it's been a relatively quiet week in crypto, although we've got the timeline today. Cold Card just had a 40 million Bitcoin hack, which is obviously a cold storage. I think the hack is kind of somehow guessed the seed phrase, because I think the bar on the kind of seed phrase thing was quite low or something. I don't actually understand what happened, but that's just one of the things that's happened on the timeline. Have you seen anything with regards to Cold Card?
For your Burge, did you see anything on that?
Not Cold Card, no. That didn't actually come across my timeline. It's kind of been dominated by FWA, actually, to be honest.
that's another thing that we're kind of out the loop with, because obviously we've got the PTSD from Punk Strategy. We've had a couple of conversations around Adam and some of the things that he's been doing. I've got to say, we've got to tip the hat to him. Adam at TokenWorks, I felt like the marketing side of the Punk Strategy stuff, he didn't really put not enough effort into, but it felt like the business execution wasn't there. He's now launched this fake world assets, which to be honest, I kind of looked at it from a distance. I didn't really get involved with it, purely probably because I had the PTSD from the Punk Strategy stuff, which, by the way, can still be a very good, a very good thing for people to get into. And then you look at this FWA thing, and it's done like nearly $20 million worth of ETH volume, which is absolutely crazy for something that's meant to be like a novel, novel creation, like a loot or a gacha platform for NFTs and crypto. And the things that he's building on top of it, he's obviously a very smart guy. He's obviously very smart with what he's doing. And, I was just reading through some of these posts. It's really interesting. I don't know whether some of the stuff he puts is serious or whether he's actually just joking around or he's shit posting because he's actually just a really young guy and that's just what he does. I don't know. Have you, Burge?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Burge, both of you, just to say one thing, because off air, I said to you, God, that's a bit braggy, saying he's going to save that ETH. And I know it was a joke, I'm going to save ETH. But then, Burge, you dug into the actual, the finances of it and the use case for ETH. And I thought, actually, it's quite a lot.
They're doing a lot of transactions. They've done 300,000 transactions. They're doing, 17 million in volume. And the reason why it's a bit shitposty is because he keeps quote tweeting himself from the tweet before, saying, so he's got one here on July 25th. He says, what other contract is getting 144,000 transactions on mainnet in 8 days? We are saving Ethereum. And he quote tweets it 2 days later. What other contract is getting 220,000 in 10 days? So he's having some fun with it, but he is also highlighting a point here, a valid point, which is that it is driving a lot of volume and loads of transactions to the Ethereum network. And he's even posted another tweet after that saying, this is all like FWA right now is all pre-Vitalik getting involved. Like he thinks he's making such a splash in Ethereum that this actually is hitting Vitalik's radar, and that Vitalik might get involved a little bit.
That's really, yeah. I mean, there'll be people watching this. There'll be people watching this that have a bit of Punk Strategy, and I guess in the back of my mind, I'll be thinking, okay, this guy's obviously a wizard at creating these things. He's very technical. He's a very smart guy. He was involved in creating bots for Xcopy's Discord back in the day. So he's obviously, he's been around the space, but whether that translates into him being a good operator is a completely different thing, because there's different elements you have to look at, like the marketing of the thing that you have. He thinks that the product's like, the old mindset of build it and they will come. I don't think kind of works in the way that he thinks it does, because we're in this niche dark corner of the internet and people don't even know about these things. I mean, there will be people who inevitably release NFT projects that don't know about the strategy ecosystem, which is crazy. But do you think any of this stuff that he's doing will actually drive any attention flows back to Punk Strategy, the token? Because that's what people will be thinking. They'll be thinking, okay, because largely people are just like, okay, I want numbers to go up here. I know there's a whole bunch of people having fun gambling, and it looks like good fun.
I mean, it got everyone tweeting about it, didn't it? Like all the big accounts. I watched it. The initial launch, it kind of failed. Them have the problems. He said, we're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to fix the problems. Then I watched the tweets after that very closely. It was not getting anywhere near the level of engagement. And then on the relaunch, I was thinking, yeah, this is going to fail because of like the engagement had gotten so low. And then it just took off, and you had all the big crypto Twitter accounts tweeting about it. But on your point of like, will it drive demand back? I mean, imagine if Vitalik does actually, get involved, because it is actually driving significant demand to Ethereum. I mean, I've got another tweet from him here, Adam, ship posting a little bit. He goes, Vitalik, this is in April, so a few months ago. He says, Vitalik is mass selling all his coins right now. But the latest TokenWorks project that I just made, which was called CMD, has a community rule where instead of it replaces the burn address with Vitalik's Ethereum address. But he says, don't worry, guys. We've prevented him transferring anything out until he hits 50%. So he's kind of trolling Vitalik a little bit. He's basically giving him money, but he's saying you can't sell any of it until you get 50% of the supply. So he is a bit of a shit poster and a bit edgy for sure. But imagine if Vitalik was to interact, that would drive a lot of outside eyes to Punk strategy. It would blow it up.
Just for the people that are listening, you're talking about Vitalik Buterin, who's obviously one of the co-founders of Ethereum. Yeah, it was interesting because they did a similar thing with Doge. I think he got 10% of the Doge supply, which I want to say off the top of my head was 100 million.
Vitalik,
and then I think what happened was, because he has all of these symbolic things where he gets sent things. I mean, it happened with the same with Gary Vee, because he was a big name in the space with NFTs, and they're airdropping stuff to him because it becomes a symbolic thing of, he owns this, so it must be a good thing. But then I think what he did was he burnt 90% of it, and then sent the rest of the 10 million to like a charity in India. Yeah. And what then happened was Charles Hoskinson, who was his co-founder, who kind of fell out with him at the time, said, is there not a tax event on that 90 million that you burnt? And then obviously, because obviously he had to send it somewhere, it then destroys it, and then it creates a tax event. Or it depends how you look at it, or whatever jurisdiction you're in, which is quite a funny thing. And obviously we've kind of gone off a little bit of a tangent there, which I think is interesting. But Simon, I can see you nodding along there.
But the old chief of tax. I was just going to say, Burge, really quickly. I was just thinking that hats off to him for innovating on Ethereum.
Yes,
and that in itself is fantastic, and it shows what you can do, because that's what's going to drive things is continued innovation. And to the question of Punk strategy and things, I guess, if it brings attention, brilliant. But we've always said, haven't we, that it's the flywheel mechanism that will almost
that's the main
sell
thing.
itself. The moment you see the price going up because NFTs get hot or CryptoPunks get hot again, that in itself is the marketing. How much he could do elsewhere, that is.
He's trying to integrate it, isn't he? He's trying to integrate it into FWA, which is interesting to see. He's trying to integrate Punk strategy. He's trying to get. I think Jaden, you were saying before the call about he's trying to get you to be able to buy a Punk from the protocol.
Yeah.
So he's always got it. He's doing the kind of Gary Vee thing where he's always got he knows what the golden goose is, which is Punk strategy, right? And he's trying and he keeps that in his head, So with these new projects, this FWA one has took off. It looks successful right now, but he's still thinking about Punk strategy. So that is good. That is good. He's not just moved on entirely. He's not trying to supersede Punk strategy.
Yeah, I think in light of obviously being completely shat on by half the internet when Punk strategy just kind of felt like it stagnated and dropped by 90%, he's kept on building things.
Yes,
he's put his fingers in his ears and just gone, okay, well, I'm just going to keep building stuff. I've read some of the comments under his posts. Now, obviously, they're different. It's like the internet's fickle. I think they do a similar thing with Michael Saylor. When Bitcoin's up, they're like, His stock is now trading at a premium to his Bitcoin holdings. The guy's a genius, and look how many billions he's worth now. And then Bitcoin drops, and then his stock drops, and then his stock trades at a discount to his Bitcoin holdings. And they're like, is he going to be able to survive? He's only got 12 months worth of runway. He's going to go to zero, blah, blah. And this is like this whole like pendulum shift. And largely it just comes down to the price is up or the price is down.
Yeah.
And actually, and I'll put my hand up as well. Like with especially with Adam, I still think he could have done a little bit more with Punk Strategy, especially when we had that early momentum. And you had these NFT projects with these huge communities that wanted to dive into it. And you had about 5,000 wallet addresses fucking trading these things. And we were all involved in it on a daily basis. And you're like, mate, just keep doubling down on this. This is going to be good. This is going to be a huge thing. And then he just stopped. He's like,
I know.
He does a tweet. I think he thought it was edgy or something. He's like, haven't spent a penny on marketing. And you know what? There's just two of us here. And I'm like, mate, that's not a good thing. This is not a fucking, you're not telling me this is a good thing. No one knows what this fucking thing is. It's like, we got 69 people on here who probably just dived on right now. And they don't even probably know what we're fucking talking about. This is how, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but we've always spoken about it's also up to the individual teams and projects and collections to run with it. Like, just looking at what Jacob from Chimpers put out this week, he just getting a bit more clarity with Chimpsters was because they've upgraded the protocol upgrade has been put in place. They're now distributed from the floor all the way up to 3 ETH, because before there was like a wall at 1 ETH. And so that means that a reminder, obviously, that every strategy listed Chimpers purchase automatically uses the proceeds to buy back. So it's not driven by this wall. That wall is not there anymore. And maybe, it's up. I keep saying this. It's up to people to run with it as well.
Because Chimpers now have an enforced royalties, don't they? They have a contract.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's such a way to go. I mean, I was just reading a post on the timeline with Betty from Deadfella. She just posted that they made $2,500 worth of secondary royalties in the last 24 hours, which is a cool thing. It's such a good thing because on her Genesis project, Deadfellas, they weren't able to do that, even though the prices were rallying. And you're like, okay, the whole point of Web3 originally was the fact that artists got paid in perpetuity on secondary sales. Because the whole USP, amongst other things, was that, okay, you're a traditional artist, you do art, you sell it for however much, and some person keeps it for 15 years, and you become a significant artist. You now have to dilute your supply by creating more art to get the upside of your career that you've worked your absolute tits off for the last 15, 20 years. And that's the whole thing that digital art solves, because you get the royalty in perpetuity, and then obviously you have these rogue sites like Blur or whatever that sent royalties down to zero, and then none of them can compete because people are trading for these things. So I think the royalties come back. I think collectors realize that they're useful, because if the teams are good and honest and they feed the value back into the ecosystem, it becomes a value add. But interestingly, if you have a token, a strategy token, and you use the additional surplus that you get to market by your own token, then it just becomes mind-boggling, because then it's like, oh, hold on a second. It's almost like weirdly a share in a company, because you're effectively buying into the productivity of the company. If the company's using its productivity and its profits to market by their own token, it then becomes this kind of weird thing where you're like, if I just buy the token and the company do well and they market by their own token, the thing's going to go up in price. And it's buying the NFT on a flywheel, and the NFT's got an enforced royalty, which is going back in. It's fucking mind-blowing. Like, this is just like, it then just becomes such a massive value add.
I wonder how much, because obviously some companies, some projects, have re-implemented royalties. Some have done it ages ago, so they've been raking in the royalties for quite some time now. Chimpers did it quite recently, where they did the migration, right? And they tried to incentivize that migration and get people to move over. I wonder how much money that is pulling in for them, because I have a feeling that it's not a trivial sum. And at the same time, I would say nowadays, no one talks about royalties because they were eliminated for the most part. even when they've been reintegrated for the likes of like Bored Ape, right? Did it ages ago, and Chimpers, like they did these contract where it was forced on contract.
Yeah.
Now I wonder, like, are they like kind of raking that money in, and also aren't getting any of the negativity attached to it, where people just go, well, that's just how the project is now. The royalties are baked in.
If you build the trust as a team, and you're putting your money where your mouth is, and people can see that, they can see the sense of the fact that you are making some money from your core business, which is NFTs and the trading, and they can see that it's going to come back, and you're really trustworthy and credible, then I'm more than happy, because then I know it's going to some use, which, as you said, Jaden, comes back to the person and the people who actually have some stake in the collection, which is owning. I was thinking, just looking at Bored Ape Club and Yuga launching their is it base.com trade, where you can trade assets, not just Yuga assets, but assets of sort of blue chip ones. They've insisted that whatever is traded between individuals, I'll give you one mace if you give me one Coda plus X, Y, and Z. They've insisted that their royalties go back to the creators. So Yuga get half, and the creator gets half, regardless of anything else. That is set in stone, and that just shows you they're fully committed to that process as well.
I think there's a theme of teams doing that. Obviously, you've got it with book games now. You've got that enforced royalty of book games on base. You've got it with Good Vibes Club. They launched in the Bear of the Bear. I mean, I remember when they launched, I thought these guys had basically lost their minds. But then obviously the art hit, enforced royalties. Then they went straight into the strategy token ecosystem. They dived on the demand that was happening in the same way this FWA thing is happening. Is exactly how it happened with the strategy ecosystem. Is that you've got people who want to gamble. You've got people who want the dopamine hit. Like when crypto's quiet, they want something, because at least you get something back out of it, or at least you have the asset at the end of the day, instead of just gambling on something and then and not having anything at the end of it. But it's no wonder that those teams have done well. The ones that dived on the early momentum, they had a huge bunch of NFTs in the treasury. And then obviously some you mentioned, like Chimpers had that, where they had this big wall of NFTs, which they've now broken through because they've had this kind of increased trading activity, which has been amazing. One of the things that keeps coming up on the timeline is like no getting away from it, is the Clarity Act. Polymarket is saying it's now at 28% that is going to be signed into law by the end of this year. Obviously that fluctuates. A couple of months ago it was at like 70%. What do you guys think is happening with that? Do you think even if it doesn't get signed into law this year, do you think we can have some sort of a rally, or do you just think it's largely pinned on that?
I don't know if it's pinned on that, but it's definitely doesn't look so likely anymore. I heard the SEC said they were they came out saying that they would create like rules and provide some clarity if the bill fails. Right. So that was interesting. That was almost like a kind of a pre-warning of like, but they're already thinking about the potential for this bill to fail. So that was interesting. I don't think us pumping is solely down to if that bill passes, but I do think the US is just a bit shit at the moment. It's just a bit, the market, the economy is just, it's not where you'd want it. Trump is, I mean, the war with Iran hasn't like concluded. I mean, it did conclude, and then it kind of has flared up a little bit again. Yeah. Now it's kind of gone quiet again, and no one really knows where we're at. The jobs market isn't in a good place. I mean, unemployment rate says that the jobs market looks good in the US, but then if you look at labor participation, it doesn't look good at all.
There's like people with 2 or 3 jobs. And they're like, oh, yeah, the jobs are going great. No. They've got fucking 3 shit jobs, and they're trying to make ends meet.
So I don't, it just, like, go on, Tom. Yeah. In general, it just, like the global economy, but specifically the US, for me, doesn't look very strong. And I think we need that to strengthen for the crypto market to pick up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting. There's a guy called Michael Howell who's like one of the top liquidity cycle experts in the world. And what he actually says is basically the opposite of what you've just said, which is people think, okay, if the economy's not very good, it means people haven't got money in their pockets for discretionary spending, which means they don't spend on crypto. But actually the opposite is true, because what eventually happens if the economy gets soft, it leads these central planners to step in earlier and stimulate the economy because they can't afford it. They can't afford it to crash. So actually the opposite happens. So when you see like the jobs market, like obviously if jobs are doing well, crypto does badly. But if jobs are dropping and people are getting unemployed, it largely means that the central planners are more likely to step in than not and re-stimulate the economy. Obviously inflation, this whole thing with Iran. I mean, you kind of know in the back of your mind that that is just a hornet's nest.
That was a death sentence as soon as and you could have never predicted it as well, really. Like Trump just like nuked the entire, like if you view it in the crypto market terms, he basically just nuked the crypto market with something like that. And then you're just struggling to recover because of the uncertainty that it creates in the market.
Yeah.
And the whole economy. But
you say that though, and I just want to just for balance. If you compare this, and I don't want this to be politics because we don't, with 4 Brits across the pond, we have no right speaking about American. And we've had this chat before, haven't we, Simon? Like, we're going to tell you Americans across the pond exactly what your political system's like, okay? But no, we don't ever talk politics, only when it kind of impacts pricing. But I just want to add some balance there. This administration has been the best for crypto compared to what we had with Gary Gensler, who was suing everyone and then trying to pick the dirt. So listen, you got to pick your poison here. Yeah,
true. The SEC was literally just handing out fines left, right, and center. They were closing down projects. It's been much better in terms of crypto. But then has it kind of brought this? Has it kind of stained it a little bit? You know, you got Trump personally having made so much money in this presidency so far. He's made like $2 billion or whatever, and he's done a lot of that through crypto type, whether it be token or he's funneled it through crypto. And has that kind of left a bad mark on crypto's name? Like, does that mean like if the Democrats were to get in next time around, would they kind of crack down on crypto as a reaction to like Trump so heavily adopting it? That would be my worry.
Possibly. The one thing I was thinking when you just take a step back about it, or we're saying as well, Jaden, I was talking to you about it, when you putting everything aside, the bottom line is the financial system, one way or another, is moving on to blockchain because it's the only way modern finance and investment can possibly operate in a modern world. Decentralized, fast, proof of transaction, everything.
Yeah.
And then when you think about that, and Brian Armstrong, I know we can love him or loathe him, he was saying that whatever happens, it's happening. Whatever happens to Clarity Act, just look around you. And secondly, I think when I look at Raoul Pal recently, just saying, one of his titles in his post was "The machine economy is coming on chain." AI, the only way at that speed with that amount and those many transactions can only happen on blockchain. And funny enough, he was quoting that Franklin Templeton said AI agents are probably the use case that's finally going to drive blockchain adoption. And what I love about the whole sorry, go ahead.
It's funny you say that because people go, oh, okay, well, how much buying pressure will there be? And they look at people, but they don't count AI agents.
No,
this is going to be how they transact on the internet between each other.
That could be like 99% of the
volume. There's going to be like 10 AI agents or maybe 20, 100 or whatever per human.
And it needs those rails. I mean, one last thing on that for me is that what I love about any kind of new technology and I love about blockchain is whether people try to find ways of blocking it. If it's going to be the future, it's going to be the future, and it will find its way through all the cracks and crevices. And I think there's enough backing from some pretty intelligent and powerful people out there to make this happen. Look at what you just said, Burge, about the SEC. They're already thinking, well, if we can't get a Clarity Act, we'll do this instead. It will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen. And I do think that in terms of how much we will be impacted by the Clarity Act not going through, I keep thinking, I kept denying it last 4 years, the whole 4-year cycle is over. And yet, actually, it probably is. I mean, it's probably going to be coming back in October. And it will probably get like a metronome. It seems to be happening.
It's a perfect little segue there. But I just want to circle back to Burge's comment earlier about the Trump profits. He made 650 million on his meme coin. 98% of the people that bought that meme coin are now down. In fact, if you'd have bought it, if you'd have put 10,000 in, it would now be worth $330. Now, he does not like losing publicly. Got the midterms in November, which is why I think he will pull out all the stops to
stimulus
make sure.
Checks.
Well, no, well, I don't think he's going to send out stimulus checks, but
he did mention that based on the tariffs, right? He's raking it in on the tariffs. I'm not gonna lie. He's also turned the tariffs back up. Like he started putting more tariffs on Canada, UK. Like he is actually raking it in for the country in terms of like how much those tariffs are building.
He's the amount of manufacturing he's onshored by just the tariffs is not about pulling in the tariff money. The tariffs is about saying.
It's trying to get them.
Listen, you fuckers. If you wanna do business, you do it in America.
Yeah.
Okay, right. We're gonna build and we're gonna put in X amount of fucking trillion or whatever into, and then what it's helping actually is the US middle class. I think it's very fucking clever, although it's not very clever for my fucking crypto at the moment. Anyway.
And when I used to sell, I used to sell on Whatnot. You can't do that anymore. They banned US people buying from the UK because of a tariff situation, but they don't even want to deal with it. They're like, screw this, US buy. But there used to be 80 to 90% of my buyers on Whatnot, like because of VFriends, the brand. When I was selling these trading cards, these boxes, these packs, when I was selling them, most of the communities over in the US, they would be buying most of my stuff. Then when the tariffs hit, nope, no more. I can only sell to my UK.
It's the same with the X subscriptions.
Elon
Musk did the same thing with the X subscription. It's like $20 a month or £20 or whatever it is, where he advertises in dollars, but then it gets taken out in pounds. And I'm like, hold on a second, there's a fucking exchange rate here. And then when the tariffs hit, the thing was double. I'm like, what? You're putting 100% tariff on this fucking thing that's a blue tick. Anyway, we got to segue a little bit on here because Simon mentioned something really important, which is the 4-year cycle. Now, I have obviously been doing a lot of content on the timeline. A whole bunch of people have been trying to play this 4-year cycle like it's some fucking, I don't know, thing that was sent down from Satoshi or something. And it was hardwired, largely because interest rate, it started in 2008. Interest rates went to zero. Bitcoin came out. It was an election cycle. The debt refinancing cycle was every 3 to 5 years. So it created a 4-year cycle. So this is what happens every 4 years. Now people are trading around it. Now, because it's been over a decade, the behavior around the trading is starting to be embedded in people. So the memetics of people playing the cycle versus actually saying, have I got money in my pocket? Because business conditions, if you look at the ISM, that business chart is showing that business conditions are actually doing quite well in the US. Because stocks have pumped. Last year we had gold and silver that pumped. So we've had things that have been doing really well. But I've listened to all the macro experts, liquidity cycle experts, business cycle experts, and I've done research pieces on all of them. And it comes down to one person who's seemingly getting this right. I don't know if you both have heard of a girl called Leah Halpern.
Yes. I have not.
She's I'm gonna say what you're thinking, Simon. She's very attractive. Simon, I can see it in your eyes. So, but I'm going to play this video. I want you to tell me what you guys think.
Good morning, guys. Let's do a little catch up of what is going on in crypto and if now is a good time to buy Bitcoin. So basically, 2 crazy big exchanges, OG exchanges, are shutting down operations. And that is not the vibe when we're about to go into a crazy super cycle. That is a vibe that the crypto market is in a bad situation. Like we're in, I wouldn't say dire straits, but like, you know, if an OG crypto exchange cannot afford to continue running operations, we're in a bear market, in case nobody was aware, right? Like, that is not the beginning of an incredible movie where we all get filthy rich because all-time highs are coming at the end of this year. Like, that's not how this works. So that's number one. Number two, the Fed is meeting on Wednesday and they are not cutting rates again. And number three, the BlackRock ETF is selling off hundreds of millions of dollars again. But as somebody who is long-term bullish on Bitcoin and the entire crypto market, this is such an exciting time. Like, this is amazing because I have said for over a year that lower lows are coming, and that typically happens within a time frame of around 1 year post-top. That means Q3 to Q4 this year, right? The setup is looking incredible for lower lows to come. So very soon I will start
Right.
She's like the female version of Jaden. Do you not think, Simon? She's also
Jaden's
British,
far more
right?
attractive.
She's also British, is she not?
Hold on a second. Did you say she's a female version of me? Are you trying to sound
she's a hot. She's hot.
Male?
Yeah, exactly. She's
you are more
news.
attractive,
She's delivering the news. It's almost your soulmate. It's almost your soulmate in a way.
Hey, listen, Burge, if you can tee that up.
She's British. I'm hearing the accent right? She's from here.
Yeah, she's British.
Yeah,
mate.
That's surprising.
Mate,
I mean, most of the crypto market's
seen this girl before. She's got like fucking millions of followers, mate. And
I didn't know.
Yeah.
So what did you think about what she said? What did you think about what she said?
Is that the first time you've seen her?
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen her.
You've never seen that person before?
Simon, I'm not going to lie. I was cracking up half the time because I was ready to say, I was waiting for the clip to end just to say that she was female version of Jaden. So I only heard half of it. But the half that I did hear, I think the point she makes is right in terms of, we've seen so much this year, especially, of things wrapping up, companies wrapping up, exchanges wrapping up is always an awful sign because, those are the people who should be able to last the longest, right? Because their model is just making money, whether the market goes up or down, right? Coinbase does well whether the market goes up or down, as long as there's transactions flowing through the system. So that's a bad sign.
I will just correct the Coinbase chat quickly, but firstly, I'll go to Gary Doge Rex, who says, big up the Brits.
Yeah, Gary's a Brit as well. Thanks,
Gary. Appreciate you, mate. Just to correct the Coinbase one, they've made a $300 million loss this quarter.
Okay.
And they're down 7%. But yeah, good shout.
What did you think?
But the point is that they do make money.
They do. You're right.
Yeah. But what in essence, from what she said, what do you or don't you agree with?
Well, so this is very interesting. I think, because I've listened to her for a while now, she's very simplistic in her views. And I think the simpler that you can keep things, you actually get closer to the actual answer. But she was saying some strange shit last year. She was saying, you got to sell because it's October, because it rhymes. And what was the other one? Something about...
she was that?
Something about, we're coming up to, obviously, September, and she's calling it Rectember. And all the shit just rhymes. And I'm like, okay, this can't be... But actually, when you think about it, a vast majority of people think of it in these simplistic terms. And, she's doing, we've got another Brit, Flo Collingwood in the house. He's joining us.
Let's go. If you're a Brit, put a comment right now.
Yeah, if you're a Brit.
Yeah, you're very welcome if you're from the US as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you're not going to get a shout out. You won't get a shout out.
We don't want to exclude you guys, especially for the fact that we've just been talking about American politics, and I'm probably going to get shot in my DMs at them. They're like, you don't know anything. Listen, we're going to tell you Americans about your politics. Trust me. No, I'm only joking. But I actually come to the realization, especially around the likelihood of the bottom being in October now, actually being higher. I actually think that these people who think about it in simplistic terms and just look at the previous cycle and go, oh, okay, the previous cycle bottom is usually 12 months after the previous cycle high. Okay, that's just one point. The memetics of people playing the 4-year cycle and just some of the simple stuff that she looks at. Hold on, BlackRock is selling this stuff. Obviously we've got the war in Iran, and the Fed have just signaled that they're not going to lower rates. These are simplistic things. And actually, when you look at it like that, you're like, huh. Now, obviously I'm a little bit skeptical because she's selling something on the back end. So she's telling people when her DCA strategy starts and you got to buy into her little private fucking whatever it is, which is fine. People can do whatever they're going to do. Obviously, Carrot Lane have a private community, but it is an actual community. We have a daily chat and stuff like that. And just while I'm on that, I just want to shout out to a few people in the community. Alexander Mayer has just created his own app in the group, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So just shout out to him. Sam, who's a new member, has actually just started an NFT project, which is quality. Victoria's doing some amazing stuff with her, and also you, Simon, doing some amazing stuff with AI. But this is the stuff about being around these people that happens, and Amit as well. He's doing some amazing content around VFriends. But when you get these people around you, it just happens kind of through osmosis. I just got sidetracked a little bit.
No, Jaden, but I was going to say a couple of things. Actually, on Carrot Lane, as someone who's a member of it, rather than you, Jaden, who's running it, where it's difficult, you've always been brilliant about not having a live stream and then just talking about Carrot Lane. But I would say, with all the places, you go into Discord, you go into these X groups, you go into all these kind of stuff. And it's quite random and quite generalized and not particularly great, to be honest. And then you find a community of people where there's a good culture, a really nice, good culture of respect, but people also obviously on a high level of nerdism like me, but who are deeply interested at a kind of intellectual level as well, is just very refreshing. That's all I would say. Just one last thing about the cycle thing from my point of view. The truth is, and I said this offline as well, last year we were all determined, I was determined that the 4-year cycle had indeed come to an end. Therefore, the all-time high in October was just a passing moment, and there will be far more. Remember, we're talking about it. Oh, we know when come turn of the year, it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be brilliant. And it never was.
Yeah.
So the truth is, the all-time high, I believe, was in October, wasn't it? So maybe you have to keep things simple. And actually, it's quite nice because that's only a few months away. Let's just believe that, shall we?
But
let's
also,
believe it's all coming back.
Simon, like you said, it does fold time in half when you're waiting for this fucking.
I know. Now, but 3 months have got to pass now.
One thing I would say on what she said in her video was that I do think consolidation is overall a good thing. I do think it is good that these like net coming out the other end, that these exchanges that aren't profitable, that aren't able to make it as a successful business, that they do go out of business. I think it's success. I think it's like it. Just like it's positive that when you see collectors of NFT projects start to consolidate around the better project, I think overall as we go into the future, I think that is a positive. But of course, it doesn't look good for the market. And what I would say just quickly on the interest rates is that wasn't like a surprise at all. I mean, the Feds were almost never going to lower rates this time around. So whenever you hear something like that, I would really recommend. This is where something like Polymarket is actually really interesting. You heard Jaden reference it earlier in terms of the percentage chance the clarity bill gets passed, but also having a look at Fed, like what the Fed will do. If you go on Polymarket, you'll get a good sense of where the market thinks, whether they think there'll be a cut next meeting or the meeting after, etc. And I think that's really interesting to see, rather than reacting to the headline. Like some of these crypto influencers, they react to headlines, but they're too reactionary. If you always are reacting to the headline, then you've got no idea what's coming down the line. You've got no idea when things are going to take a change of direction, because you're just reacting to headlines. You're so late to the story. It's there's no point.
But also, the old adage of time in the market beats time in the market, I think it just wins. But she wouldn't have anything to talk about had she not said this is going to be the bottom and this is where I think it is. If she just said no, don't sell anything, just add on the downtrend, get the compounding on the back end, and you'll be fine. And in fact, instead of trying to guess when the bottom is, why don't you just DCA? And if it does drop lower, you capture some of that lower downtrend or some of that lower value, and then it compounds and you'll be fine. But then she wouldn't have anything to talk about. She wouldn't have any content. And she wouldn't be able to do all this stuff like she's Mystic Meg and can see into the future. However, and you got to tip your hat to her, she's been right. You got these macro experts like the Raoul Powells of the world, who, in my opinion, is just top G. And you've got some other guys like Julian Bittle, Chris Beniski's brilliant. You got Kathy Wood does some really good macro research. and they've all been wrong except for this one little influencer who's just talking about just keeping it really simple and going, oh, like October and Rectember and fucking rhyme this and rhyme that. But largely really collect. Gary Doe just commented again. I just want to just read out his comment. I only say that because we're outnumbered on the timeline. Love seeing UK folks showing up. We're going to be the crypto hub of the world.
Exactly. That's why I was surprised she was British as well, because I was like, well, to be fair, we are absolutely outnumbered on the timeline when it comes to NFTs or crypto. So it's cool to see everyone from the UK.
Do you know what someone said to me on a live stream the other day? Because I've been doing them on TikTok as well. They said, because TikTok is like the Wild West, at least where we are at the moment, it's kind of like the comments are pure. We've got some nice people in here that they're interested in what we're saying. But on TikTok, they just share you to like the Wild West. And this person came in the live stream the other day and said, American, just because he's got a British accent doesn't mean you can trust him. And that probably sums us up here, but it's all good. We've got Flo Collingwood, who said there's so many unprecedented events that move the needle either way. I'm progressively listening less and less to the pump jocks.
Yes,
for sure though. He's right. He's absolutely spot on.
It's true.
Which is so. Simon, in terms of stuff that's happening, I guess in the NFT ecosystem, is there anything that you are looking at? You mentioned about creeps earlier.
Creeps, and also Del Mundo is just a quick reference to that, because I just think it is quite such a positive story, and I think the fact that they've managed to have OpenSea back them with a collaboration on these 4 editions by a British artist, actually, Dominic Spall. And what's great about it, when you get a backing of OpenSea, a really high profile kind of event, which is shining a light on a mechanism that all it's designed to do is good, which is to work as this automated treasury where brands who increasingly need to stick to the stipulations of their obligation for sustainability and environmental causes, they have to do it. It's becoming more and more. Therefore, why not use innovatively the blockchain to make that smooth and recordable and accountable? And then the other end is plugged in the charities. And then the people who own the Del Mundos vote for where that money is, which charities it goes to, and they get rewarded for it. And clearly OpenSea has seen, actually, this is just great. They're an organization themselves, right? They have obligations, I'm sure. And so they've highlighting this, and what it's going to do is shine a light on a proof of concept. People raising money through art and NFTs that do good for the environment. And what this does is just elevate that and shine a light on it. And what people will probably start to do is realize, so actually, as an owner of a Del Mundos, because they're not stupid, the team, they know that people won't just do things purely altruistically. They will, they'll probably educate people like me more by knowing more about environmental causes. But at the bottom line is people want something for things often, and indeed that's
they want numbers to go up.
But they want numbers to go up, but you get rewarded for doing it. And last thing is, don't forget, it's not just the money that comes from big brands coming on board. It's actually from these editions, these surprise artistic collaborations. I mean, we'd love you to see something with Beeple or another artist where people get something for owning them. They get some sort of value because it might go up, but also it raises money for good causes. I kind of think to myself, who wouldn't want to be associated with that?
Well, but this is the thing. But Simon is spot on. Like the CSR approach for businesses, there's a reason why businesses do things with charities, because it gives them publicity. Like, okay, you can maybe have the founder who has an altruistic view of things, and that's fine. But it's actually an easy in to mainstream marketing. Like you contact you're launching a business and you want to contact let's go old school like radio, or you want to contact the local newspaper or local media. what's an easier in? I've just started a business and I'm selling this product, or I've just started a business and actually environmental friendly, and this is what it's going to do for everyone else, and blah, blah, blah. It's a much better in. And then you publicize your business off the back of it, which is why that corporate social responsibility, it works. But also, it's in the art. The way they've done the art is
everything aligns.
So it's not a bullshit plus up. It's not like a little tactic like some people do. They do it as a little tactic to say, "Hey, look at us. We're fucking
exactly."
We're doing this charity.
And I have to say, I agree with you. And the thing is, I was like, privileged really to have a chat with the team beforehand about it. I wasn't going to say anything about the OpenSea, and very kind of them to involve me just to listen really to what they were doing, because they were aware that there's been a bit of time between things said and things done, and it feels like there's a little bit of a kind of snowball effect happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if there'll be other surprises, because one of the things they say is we want to surprise and delight people with things that are unexpected. One last thing on that is everything is planned, everything is aligned. They're highly experienced individuals. They do things with ethical mindset and integrity, and they don't say anything. Look, they sent us the t-shirts. I know it sounds funny, but they do little things, and it's called From One World to Another. This is what these editions is. The artist they're chosen specifically works bridging the real world with virtual art. They're using OpenSea in a virtual entity, but for organizations who are going to be actually spending the money. Everything is well thought through. And as you rightly said, they actually created the physical NFTs, if you like, and then painstakingly transferred them into a digitalized world. So I don't want to bang on about them as if I'm sort of saying you must go and buy one, because I'm absolutely not saying that. But I think, isn't it great to see innovation?
They're 0.02 ETH at the moment, so go and buy one. Like, what have you got to lose?
I mean, I've just been slowly buying a bit more. Like, I think I'm actually obsessed. I need to go to a clinic.
I remember meeting Benny at that meetup, and I'd done a post about my mum a couple of weeks before. I completely forgot about it, and we're at the bar, and he said, "Well, this is a toast to your mum," and I was like, "Okay, you remembered," and I like that. I like it when people remember stuff, because it's like an effort thing, because they know that the small things mean a big thing. This question is going to relate to you, Simon Berger. I'll bring you into this as well. Is Gary's just dropped a message here to say, what's your opinion on Claynosaur's equity sharing for early supporters as they move into brand and streaming deals? I know you're in the ecosystem, Simon. You love Claynosaurs, even though me and Berger are like that with our hands over our faces, like, no, we can't do an NFT project on a different blockchain apart from Ethereum.
I've got about 800,000 shares or something now, just because I own one Claynosaurus for years. And that is fan driven. It's exactly the same. Not exactly the same, but a very similar kind of thought process, isn't it? Claynosaurus is trying to create their Hebrew, well, they have created their Hebrew platform and studios, where it's about the people who own a stake or have the NFTs vote for the kind of programs that get out there on these big networks, instead of it being under the jurisdiction of centralized, powerful kind of entities. And when you look at Climeta, what the Almundas are doing, again, it's a fan-driven, vote-driven entity. It's what I love about it. The whole point of blockchain is it's a decentralized process, isn't it, where people get to make decisions. So I don't know about was it Gary, was it, who just said that?
Gary.
I'm a big fan of it. I love it. I love the idea that you feel you're part of something personally.
Berger, looks like you're looking at something there on the tie. Could you see your eyes just
I'm looking at Chimpers. You're right, Simon. Chimpers has really been active, right? On like last few posts, they've released a Chimpers hit, introducing Dojo Drop, a brand new licensed Chimpers game exclusively on Ape Church. I don't know what Ape Church is, but powered by ApeCoin.
Ape Chain, yes.
Yeah, and then the other thing was that they took their I don't know if you mentioned this earlier or not, but they took the strategy listed Chimpers that were in the protocol of Chimp Strategy, and instead of having them, when it initially sold and a lot of them got relisted at these high values, Jaden, and then the floor went back to normal, and now they're at these high values, and it would take an NFT pump to get back there. They've found a way to relist them and kind of redistribute them across a curve so that more of them will get sold.
That's what I was saying. They'll get burnt, they'll get sold, and therefore the burning mechanism and flywheel will kick in more often. And that's just another example of, it's all down to innovation, in my opinion.
Yeah, and proactivity. Chimpers are they're just constantly working,
relentless every day.
Yeah, they're good guys.
Literally.
They're good guys, and I got a thing. You know this. I got a thing with the brothers, like the Good Vibes Club and the Chimpers. And it's a family thing with the Chimpers, and they're in it in perpetuity. And obviously, the benefit that we have in the UK is that because they're a public limited company, you can see everything. And it's not the same in the US. You can basically see, and you can see that they're just putting it all into the business. So they're doing, and like you got to tip your hat to them. Largely recognized as the most successful UK NFT projects. Simon, Burge, I just want to come over to you quickly. Obviously, we're talking off air about VFriends and the National. Obviously, Gary V's doing some things with cards. Just give us a bit of an explanation as to what's happening there. I can see things are hotting up with the cards. I know you're deep into that ecosystem. Anything from there?
Cards is just crazy. I mean, cards has been blowing up for the last few years. It's definitely had its dips, its fair share of dips, as well as its rises. But it's ridiculous when you look at like Pokemon cards, for example. I mean, there's cards that were worth under $1,000 or maybe $1,000 that are now worth $20K. And that's over that's over like the course of like 2 or 3 years. You know, in some cases it can go even crazier than that if you look at pre-2020, before most people had got in. Like there are some wild stories. I mean, Gary even has one himself. He bought a ton of Giannis rookie cards for like $20 a pop, and they ended up being worth like $400 a pop, and that was ungraded. That was before grading. It's a big deal. You know that there's a lot of people getting involved, because when you look at the big grading companies like PSA, they've paused all of their cheap submission rates, and people expect them to be paused or not open for the next 1 or 2 years. That's how overloaded with cards they are. That's how they've got so much demand for their services that they just can't keep up. The National is like the show of the year, and I mean, you're even starting to attract people from the crypto universe. I mean, from the NFT universe as well. I mean, I see Captain is live from the National right now. Wow. So doing like a podcast like he always does. Like, that's really interesting for me to see that the crypto and NFT community starting to drift over a little bit. I mean, we've seen it with platforms, BZ. We've seen Courtyard. Courtyard's a massive one. There's other platforms as well. Where
Collector Crypts is another one.
You're seeing that kind of intersection, and the reason why they did that is because they saw how strong the cards and collectible market was.
There's no friction. You do it, Burge. You send stuff out to the US, and then someone sends it back, and you're paying the fucking delivery costs. It's like, now you've got the digital receipt, which is the NFT. There's no friction to it. These loot and gacha platforms are like backing the liquidity by 95%. There's no redemptions for the physical asset, which is in a vault, because it's just on your phone. And now all of a sudden people are realizing, oh, no, but these aren't called NFTs. They're called digital assets or digital collect. No, they're fucking NFTs, guys. We've just had.
And actually, Jaden, just one last thing I was mentioning on what you said, Burge, because I just picked up something yesterday, was that Collector Crypt, you mentioned those, didn't you, Jaden, have gone into partnership with Jupiter, and it's randomized on-chain packs containing real professionally graded physical Pokemons and One Piece trading cards that are tokenized and tradable on Solana. I mean, it's happening, isn't it?
It's happening.
It's
happening without realizing it.
Tokenized.
But I think the rebranding of NFTs is going to happen, because it's got too much. If you say NFTs, the allergic reaction that people have is just like crazy. It's just going to be digital collectibles, digital assets. No, these are just, and people can call it what the fuck they want, but NFTs are coming back.
this is the first step for you to sell your house as an NFT, genuinely, because if you're selling a card, right, that could be worth 100K, right, and you can sell it and trade it on Courtyard, right, and it sits in a vault somewhere, but two people can trade it and 100K of value is being traded, then why can't you sell a house? Why can't you sell a house on NFT? And Gary, it's not like I'm not coming up with something new. Gary said this, but
what they'd do, Burge, is they'd vault the house and send you the NFT.
you got to live in it.
Oh, you'd be stood out in the street with your NFT. We're like, yeah, okay, well, the house is safe. So. I just want to read out. Go on, Simon.
I was just going to say, maybe I could do that with my dog. I could actually have a digital dog.
Change your dog as a collection. I just want to come to Flo Collingwood, who's commented again. He says the NFT space has much depth. If you look for it, the CryptoPunks community has been great for the longest time. I really like Goblins way back when and used to work in a project around tokenizing street art. That's awesome. I mean,
absolutely.
Those early days were insane. I mean, there were only 23 million wallets trading NFTs, and the explosion that happened. That's, they're expecting that to 10x the next heat wave we have, or when we're in the eye of the storm with NFTs again. And if you think of the holder behavior, we all bought one in each collection. So like largely people don't want to sell out that one that they have. So it's like infinite regret. These things are going to go up by astronomical prices.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I was going to say as a final thing on that, Jane, was that when you think about it, it's coming from all sides, isn't it? If AI is going to use the blockchain, because that's the only way it's going to be able to operate at speed, art coming on the blockchain, the financial system coming on the blockchain, it all starts to converge, and one sparks the other in terms of, shining a light. And as you've always said, art is the furthest out and the place where people all end up when it comes to their wealth.
And it's a lot easier to signal the art than it is your Bitcoin balance. Oh, hey guys, look, I took a screenshot of my Bitcoin balance. I'm going to post on social media. Right, you look like a douche doing that. Like, people don't do that. Yes. This is why people do it through art and these collections, but also because there's other community members who have the same things, you in this echo chamber of like, okay, this is amazing, and I've got the rarer one, and I'm the big dog because I've got the most in the collection, or whatever signaling that appeals to your psychological jollies. Guys, we're coming up to the hour mark here. I just want to thank the 150 people that have come into this live stream, which I think is absolutely amazing, because I think we've kind of hovered around the 80, 90 mark. It just shows that there's more appetite for these conversations. But you can actually listen back to the recording in podcast form. If you go to carrotlane.com/subscribe, you can actually join as a member, a free or a paying member if you like. We have a private membership. But also you can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and here on X, you can get the recording. So you'll never miss an episode ever again. I just want to get your guys' thoughts. We usually end on a bit of a prediction as to where you think we're headed. We never get it right, ever, guys. Burge, I can see you smiling. But in terms of the end of this year, there's speculation as to when the bottom might be for crypto. Do you think we have a bit of a rally into the end of the year, or do you think this is now a next year thing, Q1 2027? Do we have to fold time in half again for another year?
It doesn't. I mean, I would definitely say, with the fact that the war is still hasn't been fully resolved, with the fact that the Fed hasn't cut rates yet, they might cut it right at the end of the year, but it's not looking likely. That's still like a far-fetched idea. With the fact that labor participation markets, as I was mentioning earlier, don't look like the graph doesn't look great at all. I doesn't feel like there's going to be much of a pickup towards the end of the year, unfortunately. I think probably the only thing is that, as you said, Jaden, with the midterms coming up, Trump surely is going to start to feel some pressure on and try to get some voters back on his side. But then on the same kind of token of that, like, this is his second term, right? He can't run again, legally speaking. He can't run again, at least with the current rules, with the current laws. So if he can't run again, then does he really care? Does he really care like what people think? He's just gonna do what he can.
He does care because he can't get anything passed through the Senate if he doesn't win the midterm. So he's going to be a lame. He's going to be a lame duck president. And also, he doesn't like losing publicly. Like we know.
No,
this.
true. That's true.
We know this. So it'd be interesting. And
But what's your outlook on towards the end of the year?
Are you asking me or Simon? Go on, Simon.
You.
Me. It's torn between people playing the memetics of the 4-year cycle, 1, people thinking that the bottom's going to be in October, 2, and then the political element of it. He's got to pull something out the bag here. Kevin Walsh, and I keep going on about this Kevin Walsh guy, but he's a Trump hire. Trump's hired him for a reason. He was saying how bad Jerome Powell was for not lowering rates. Now inflation has actually come down month on month. So it's come down from last month. I think something will happen ahead of those midterms to start pumping prices. And when people go to vote, I think prices will pump because 28 or 27% of his voter base hold crypto. He campaigned on being crypto friendly, which is fine. But largely people will look at their crypto bags and say, well, I don't feel wealthier. In fact, Mr. President, I think you've actually fucking shafted me here, even though they've done some really great work on the administrative side of things or the regulatory side of things versus what we had in the last administration. People will ultimately look at the price of it and go, it's down. I'm fucking poorer. Like, but not just a little bit down. I'm down bad. 30, 40, 50, 60, 97% if you bought the Trump token. So those are my thoughts on it. But if you were to make me guess, I think it actually ends up being October because it'd be right before the midterm. You'll pull something out.
I'm gonna come full circle on going against everything I was saying when everyone was saying 4-year cycle, whether it's psychological, habit forming, naive, whatever you want to call it. I actually do believe we'll all feel something as we approach October. Things will start buzzing purely because of the psychology of the whole thing. And that may I think I'm going to. And my NFTs will all go up 100x over October. And I will sell them and I'll go and buy an island.
I love it. Let's get a yacht in the Med if that ever happens.
Yes.
Folks, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to the 150 of you who have joined us for this live stream. You can catch us every Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern time, which is 1:30 UK time. We'd love to see you next week. We'll be back on, obviously, talking about all the subjects that you love hearing about, hopefully. But Burge, Simon, thank you for diving on. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable one, and we'll catch you next week.
Take care, everyone.
Absolutely.
Cheers, guys.
See you.